Well, hello everyone. It tells me that I am live, so I've learned not to doubt it. So, how is everyone? Trust everyone is doing well. Give me 1 second here because I know. Okay, good. Looks like I'm finally maybe learning this. All right. So, how is everyone? Do you know that we are coming in to the last month of this year? Wow. That's all I got to say is the year is gone by like that. And in some cases, I don't know if we're going to say good riddance and then look back and go, oh, gee, wouldn't it be nice to have that? Or hopefully believe in how the pendulum swings, that the inertia can only carry so far before the force brings it back in. So I know probably a lot are not in here yet. And so I will simply do what we call fill in. But actually, it's good fill in, gets the foundation packed in. So we're going to be talking about some things that, well, it just doesn't go away. And the fortunate thing is, as we all become much more astute and as we grow, and every person in here is growing. I mean, some of you are further ahead than some of the rest of us. So, oh, well, we got three in. Hello, Brenda. Hello, G. Mason. How are you? Good to see you in. So, the great thing I loved about this, as I thought about this before I went live, is that this is the only place you really get to experience time travel, both in and out. So, which rabbit? Well, Chai, I think we're looking at that white rabbit. You know, that's the one that I always heard about. There was a song about that white rabbit. Hello, D Truth. How are you doing? Good Thursday evening. Thank you for coming by. I think DG, good to see you. So I think we're going to get into some really good material here tonight. All right. So, going to be talking about what happened in 2015. But I think we're going to take it from a perspective of kind of coming at this from the spokes of a wagon wheel, looking at many different angles so that it can begin to tie in to really what I've been talking about all along. As you can see behind the whiteboard, so here is where I'm dealing with now. As you can see, we have records, paintings, I would say are pretty good records, cave paintings, 35,000 BC, something happens. 11,000 BC, we know from what we're digging up, comet hits, something happens. Then we have this gap, and then we have, of course, the tablets from Sumer, Nippur, Sapor. These are all cities around Mosul, Baghdad, the Crescent Valley, the origins of mankind, or so it's been said. But now we're finding evidence now challenging that. The theory has always been that the Homo sapiens migrated up from Southeast Africa and then spread out from there. There's now good evidence from paleontology that shows that there was another species that came in from the Northeast. And that begins to get things complicated. So you're probably saying, Wayne, how does this tie into the title? Well, it does. So we're talking about an event that happened in 2015 concerning Saudi Arabia, Russia, and Antarctica. Now, I would like to go back and look at this from when I got kind of intrigued. And that was, and allow me to share my screen with you. Give me 1 second here. I'm looking. All right. I know you can all see that. All right. So this is the supposed diary of Admiral Byrd in his infamous flight over the South Pole. Now, there's actually, I think one of his direct descendants, maybe grandson, I'm not sure, that actually reads this. And I think you can find that on YouTube as well. But in any case, for those of you who have not seen this, this is the supposed base camp recordings, February 19th, 1947. Very important that we remember that date because there's something that actually precludes this as well. So, as you can see, he talks, and it gets very detailed, talks about the altitude change, encountering strong turbulence again. 1,000, I think this is what, 10-100 hours? Yeah. We're crossing over the small mountain range, still proceeding northward as best as can be ascertained. The compasses is going off. And I'm not going to read this verbatim. I will go slow enough, though, for the rest of us to. Those who want to. So they begin to encounter a lot of anomalies, aviation, in all the aeronautical compasses, everything else. They're starting the readings are going all over the place. They're having problems with the radio, as you can see here. He gets back and he starts saying, I'm going to have to write all this because they're not sure if anyone is actually hearing. So, very interesting. They're actually escorted in by what we would call disc-shaped craft. They happen to have the swastika on it, please, excuse me. And anyway, the story goes, they are escorted down. They land on this surface. They said that the engines were going at apparently full speed, but they weren't moving. Long story short, in this story becomes that Admiral Byrd supposedly meets the guardian, the master. This is a race of beings that have been here for a long time. My take on this is that they were seeders, basically. There was a number of things that was said to the admiral that would lead you to think that they've been here for a number of the cataclysms. They seem to tell him as well that there is a cataclysm coming, that there is no stopping. Now, this is 1947. So, what was going on in 1947? Well, it's very interesting that I should ask that question because I'll give you the answer on it. So, this is the Byrd expedition to Antarctica. Actual history. And apparently it was of compelling nature enough that Mr. Byrd wanted to go back. Excuse me, I got a little feedback in my ear. So, history, the man knew Antarctica, was well aware of it. So, as you can see here, it's a very detailed of his trip and what he saw. So, let me go back here, live again. Hello. So, 1947, end of World War II. Now, there is another story that we're going to look at. I think it's Project High Jump. I got a slide on that. Of apparently on this expedition is where we apparently got our butts kicked, Admiral Byrd leading it. We went down there with a flotilla that, well, there was over 2,200 seamen and military personnel that were lost. And apparently they were attacked from silver discs coming up out of the water. Okay. So a lot of history there. Now, I think it would be remiss if we did not stop and also look at one other point. Here was the Nazis. Now, the interesting thing about this is we know that this is fact. We know it. The Nazis were well engaged. They had a base in Antarctica. They apparently found something of a lot of interest. These are not conspiracy theories. This is just history. Now, why they were so engaged down there, what they were looking for is hard to really ascertain. But we do know that they were, in fact, engaged in a lot of exploration, setting up bases, and then the stories go from there. We know now that, Antarctica is off limits to, and this is the thing that always bugs me. I mean, you and I are of the human race, humanity. And somehow or another, we are barred from going to a continent that you wouldn't be barred in most cases in any other continents. Off limits. In fact, I've heard that they can actually execute with extreme prejudice. So I happen to know what that means. So I don't think that would be too cool. So let's look at this from a little presentation, because I'm going to do a presentation. So we're going to talk about maps. Now, the infamous map from the 1500s, how this map maker, how he got the information of showing Antarctica with a green coast, animals. They apparently made land expeditions, and it's never been exactly explained how this happened. As you can see here, if we look at this, now again, how they knew this, how they actually could have mapped if they weren't there is uncanny. Again. So we look at Antarctica today, and these are the nations that have a major stake on the continent. This is the territorial claims, as you can see here. I ask myself, why are there unclaimed areas? That's the other question. Okay. This is a map, 1944, 1959. The map has changed, as we can see. Now, there is a theory that I have read that really what we are seeing with the 1.5 mile ice shelves that have prevented, up until now, exploration or breach of it, that was actually artificially put there. What did the Nazis discover? Well, it's quite evident that there was something down there. Now, I'm no more knowledgeable about this than you are, but I can tell you this. the Nazis did believe in the hollow earth theory. Now, of course, they believed in other things of the occult as well. One of the things we do know, they had flying saucers. We got 3 of them. I don't know if the Russians did. Maybe they did, but the 3 that we got, 2 are actually fully operational. Here's the expeditions. More. The U-boat. This is an artist's depiction of what was supposedly Admiral Byrd saw. This is the Admiral on the German side. It was called New Berlin Base 211. They actually were issuing passports from New Berlin Base 211. And here is that passport. Now, I'm intermixing these with pictographs and hieroglyphs because I think this is all connected. This is supposedly one of the bases. This is one of the actual saucers that the Allies captured. Then we begin to see, after 1944, more and more reports of strange objects in the sky. The Allied bomber pilots called them, what was it? Foo pilots, weren't they? San Elmo's fire, a number of different ones. You know, we now know, by the way, little digression here, he did not die in Berlin. Neither did she. I don't know what actually happened to her, but it's now in good evidence. It seems like he made it to Argentina, lived apparently a ripe old life there. Are these 2 guys connected to this? Listen, everything that I present here all has a cord connecting them. This is the Admiral Byrd expedition. Another. So the Germans also, they built these huge machines. I mean, look at the size of that thing. More of their expeditions down there. So why am I connecting all of these UFOs, the Nazis? Well, you know, depending on how you want to look at this, there seems to be good evidence that the military, starting apparently from the war on, have been involved. Here is the Operation High Jump. So they were on the mission because of, apparently, from captured Nazi top secret and the scientists, that the United States came in and swooped in, and the Russians did the same thing. Kept on saying that there was this dome down in Antarctica. Here's one of the German planes, fighters, that is still down in Antarctica. This is modern day. And you can see how very treacherous there is. The Russians have a base down there for submarines from the very early time. This is some concept. Here's our subs. There you go. There's the geographic South Pole, which is no longer there. It's moving. Again. So what we really have down there is that they have the guys, is that they say it's a scientific sanctuary for research, heavily militarized. Anyone care to tell me what type of instrument we're looking there? Yeah. So what's going on here? Now, pay attention to that. This is the Russian fleet. Now, this has a direct connection to what I'm about to show you now. So let me get out of here, as he says, and do this. Hello. So let me see how's it going in the chat room. Just thought I'd stop in and say hello. Let's see. Wow, 129. Hi from Greece. Hello, Greece. Boy, it's early in the morning for y'all over there. Well, I'm just saying hello, so I'll continue on. So that establishes at least some foundation from, even if you want to say a limited perspective, right? Something's going on down there. And something's been going on down there right from the get-go. There's no doubt about it. So let's get into the heart of what, and I'm trying to think of two ways to go about this. All right, let's do this first. All right, so it was all over the internet about 2 years ago, about this time. Something was found in Mecca. Something of such historical importance that the rumors were they found the Ark of Gabriel. Or, depending on your position of faith, the Ark of the Covenant. It was reported that it was found underneath the black cube. Now, obviously, I don't think the Saudis would tell you one way or the other. But this happened at a time of Ramadan. This is supposedly a picture. I give no authenticity to it, but I don't know. You know, I always liked the Indiana Jones version. So here we go. We see this every year. You know, this is a holy site for, you know, well over 1 billion plus 2 devoted followers. And it has significance. And this is the picture of the excavation that was taking place. Now, as you can see, there is construction going all over the place. Now, it's said that the Saudis are actually improving the facilities to accommodate more those who are making their trek to Mecca. I ain't buying it. Listen, that's a whole lot of shovel power. That's all I got to say. Now, the story goes that something of a supernatural event took place. The lightning storm that hit, well, was unprecedented. You can see for yourself that it had enough lightning rods to track every bolt on the planet. But getting seriously, it seems that this triggered quite an event. You know, I could never figure out what the heck was this. I mean, I get it could be spotlights, but wow. All right. So the story continues that this was an unprecedented lightning storm. I heard that there was even, ground to sky lightning. It was going both ways. What we do know was that something was discovered underneath the cube, whatever the thing is that they look to. I think if you can actually touch it, I believe, right? I think it's the stone that fell from heaven. There it is. So the rumors are it was found directly underneath here. I don't know. You have to be open-minded, but you also have to have a sense of balance too. Something happened here, because what happened next, and this is just my opinion, was a sacrifice was required. And when the first reports came out of the crane that had collapsed, the official report was, I think initially they said maybe a dozen people hurt. Then they said over 100 people hurt. The last number I heard was, well, nearly 2,000 people were hurt. Now, when I saw this picture, and I remember this picture, I didn't think that much of it. But I looked a little deeper. I get it now. This thing was huge, folks. This crane, well, it looked like to me to be well over 100 feet tall, and it literally crashed into the mosque. And there were people, unfortunately, as you can see, the carnage of what happened here. Now, let's talk about this guy. I was having a conversation before I came on live. You need to keep your eye on this dude. Seriously. I'll just say this. My spidey senses go off. And I get this strong psychic impression this man is about to step into a role on the world stage. I have no idea what that means, but that's what I get. Now, lots of rumors of Putin. I don't know. Visits. I don't believe that he has the Messiah complex, but I don't know the man. I do know this. He is, when I look at this man, I hear in the back of my head, this guy is cunning as a fox. And former head of KGB. If there was anything to do with ETs, secret ancient weapons that were known as religious relics, this is a guy who I think's on top of the game. He would know. He is the equivalent to what George Bush was in the 80s under the Nixon administration. George H. Bush was head of the CIA. This flotilla, as it was rumored, was carrying a relic that came from the Saudis that apparently they found there at Mecca. It said that the Russians went to extraordinary lengths of carrying this cargo, whatever it is, if it ever was. I don't know. But it would appear that when this was taken down there, other things began to happen. And those other things that we are now finding, holes opening up, massive, size of Rhode Island. More and more reports of silver disc, missing scientists, and more disturbing than what we're going to see is the sudden warming of the continent itself. Now, just so you know, there have always been rumors of pyramids. We're finding more of them. This one is apparently at Princess Elizabeth Station. It's hard to tell these days. Want to talk about this guy. That's John Kerry. Rumor is that, well, apparently the Obama administration, forced themselves into a meeting that was never granted. But there was I don't know what the hell you'd call it, an envoy. Anyway, John Kerry goes down there with apparently a message. If you all remember, go back on election 2016, it was in the headlines worldwide. John Kerry, the sudden mysterious trip, goes down, apparently is warned not to ever come back. Apparently I hear the rumor. Let me ask you this. What happened to this dude? I mean, he comes back and he's gone. I think he may have saw something that he had no idea. Now, this is the famous Red Blood Falls in Antarctica. We know what causes this now is the huge mineral deposits. This is the Orthodox Church that apparently is, if you don't get the blessings of this character guy here, it doesn't bode well for you. Who knows? So the Ark of Gabriel. Well, one thing we do know about Antarctica, pyramids. Now, there are some who try to say that this is a natural formation of nature. Well, if it is, it's unique to Antarctica because this continent seems to be riddled with them. I mean, look at this and you begin to see this Antarctica mountains goes right up through here. Pyramids are everywhere. My question is why? Even the valleys. Now look at this. This is I found this one. This is a very recent picture of Antarctica. As you can see, it's a huge glacier. But the mountains themselves have a unique formation to them. There seems to be more and more anomalies coming out of Antarctica. So, what's going on? Did they find something? Is there something happening that we should be even more aware of? I mean, seriously, folks, if you're going to tell me that's a natural formation, all right. But I'm not buying it. And you can go to Google Earth. You can do it yourself. What is this? Is there, in fact, substance to an ancient culture? Is there something that has been found, that has been taken? Is there a hollow earth? Is that what we're really dealing with here? I don't know. But no matter how we look at this, something is obviously going on. And the bases down there, they get stranger. So I don't know. What are we looking at here directly? But it seems like something is afoot. So I want to show you as well. I have one more. Here we go. We'll go back over here. See, I really try to get this out. So here are some of the stories that were back in 2015. Strange happenings in Saudi Arabia. Russian Navy begins circulating on the internet. Research ship Admiral Valad has been dispatched to Saudi Arabia port city of Jeddah, the gateway to Mecca, to pick up a mysterious artifact. You know, do I find that this is hard to believe? Not really. Ark of Gabriel, Russian given ancient apocalyptic weapon uncovered in Saudi Arabia. Who knows? Let's go on to the next one. UFO International Project. Russia's mysterious Ark of Gabriel weapon now en route to Antarctica. Okay. Why does the Russian army transport the mysterious? You know, again, it was everywhere you could see, and you can go out there and you can still see these very same articles, and there's plenty of them. Now, here's the other thing that's happening. Seems the continent's melting. Now, we've known that there are volcanoes. If it begins to melt very quickly, I don't think that's going to be well for the world. You know, that water's got to go somewhere, right? But who knows? I mean, always been stories about, I don't know, UFOs. Now we're getting with the satellites, and now privateers, and that's what I mean, private companies that are now launching through SpaceX and other countries, that you can now launch your own satellite. You can, listen, we could actually start our own fund, raise about $20 million, build our own satellite and send it up there, and we could really start taking our own pictures. But apparently Google Earth is now finding even more strange anomalies. Now, here was John Kerry's visit, and that's about when we begin to see this. By the way, wasn't it odd that when he went to, I guess it was Christchurch Falls in New Zealand, that's when they had like a 7.2 earthquake. So maybe they were telling him something. So anyway, let's go. Let me go in the chat room and see what you guys think. I mean, granted, it's different. I'm just stopping in to see what condition my condition was in. I'm just reading some of y'all's comments. I'm just agreeing. I mean, listen, we all know that this place is very, very strange down there. And so I wanted to say this as well. When I look at all of us. I mean, something's going on. Something is really going on with us, our species. And I'm seeing this clear delineation from those who are becoming really aware, hyper aware, and then those that are just absolute. And you know, this all still gets down to the whiteboard behind me. We got gaps in our memories. And I can't help but believe, folks, that if you look at the gap between 35,000 BC, when we're seeing the cave drawings in France, to where now, because of technology, archaeologists are now finding at Göbekli Tepe, and I have an article for those who still want the PDF. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to send it to you. So we've uncovered it, right? So we know somebody else was here. Apparently they were bipedals. Apparently they were ambidextrous, that they could actually hold instruments. I still puzzle. Why no written record? I can't accept that a species that have cognitive reasoning, the ability to expand their consciousness, their cognitive awareness, that it would take thousands of years to figure out a language. Now, I know languages are complex. Languages change. I get that. But still, I've watched in my lifetime the rapid evolution of the English language. I dare say someone of the 1800s coming into the 21st century, in a lot of what they would think is English, would be a foreign language. You know, we have people here that are in Australia, Great Britain, other places that English is spoken, but it's different. Back to my point. I can't accept 10,000 years of a species not developing the ability to communicate. I can't accept that. I don't think you can either. So what the freak happened? Does the answer lie down in Antarctica? Is there a hollow earth? You know, I get this strange sense in the back of my head saying, well, if there were cataclysms that, let's say, wiped out our species, how do we get back? Let's say if we had the ability, the uncanny ability, to survive a cosmic cataclysm. And of course, we can go off on a tangent. By the way, tomorrow night, I think I'm going to be able to present at least some really good brain coitus when we begin to think about full spectrum. The following was a unpaid. Anyway, so 10,000 years we don't write. No, I'm not accepting that. All right. Something hits. Comet hits. We see this in religions. And, you know, this is how belief systems get started. And this is how religions get started. Again, 6,300 years, 6,400 year gap. And even if you take the fact So, two possibilities, folks. I present to you two thoughts. Thought bucket number one was that we were so inept in our ability to communicate to another sentient being that this basically made us nomadic. Okay, I mean, that's one. I mean, it would go with the evolution theory, Man was, hunter-gatherers and then became agrarian, etc. And when we became agrarian, it's when civilization began to explode. That's one line of thought. Then, what if I take the antithesis view, right, of saying I can't accept 10,000 years of virtually no development in learning to communicate, to write, to express. Bucket 2, or B, would say we didn't need to. We were advanced to the point where we understood telepathy. We didn't need the handicap of both the spoken and written word, because the word is supplanted by thought. Then that begs to question what happened? Why the collapse? It would say that something happened along the way. And so now we have to diverge on this path because we're left, number one, what happened? Did we reach a level of awareness that maybe most of us, that version of us, left? I never hear anyone talk about that. I'm writing a book on that because okay, let's continue. Or something did happen that we were unable to either prepare for or to survive from. And this super race, the true creators that live in the earth, are in fact the caretakers. And that they are as ancient as this planet is. They came here a long time ago. I don't know. Could be. But getting back to the one point, is it possible that the different versions of us, and there clearly are different versions of us, you can't start, there is no patient zero in this scenario. Number one, it's illogical that you start with one. That in itself is unbalanced in the laws of the universe. You can't show me in the universe where there's just one. Doesn't work that way. So, leaves to two things. We were seated here by a very advanced race. And I say advanced and ancient at the same time. They say that our universe is an old universe. But now the paradox comes in that we're finding where we thought would be very old stars and systems, we're actually finding new ones. But anyway, I digress in the fact that our universe is old, or supposedly. Well, I don't think voids exist. Now, this all ties into this. Trust me. Just follow me. So let's say we were seated here. Let's say that there were guardians put here. Let's say that we had the ability genetically that they knew how we were put together, that our ability to learn would quickly begin to outpace everything else about our evolutionary development. And specifically, if we were made for this environment. And the challenge was we were put as surface dwellers where the true and the elite and the good life is actually those civilizations who have learned, and this is where I think most of them do live, are inside planets, not just planets that have life. I think that you can create environments within. Remember the first Star Trek, what was it? Star Trek 2, Khan. Someone will know it. So is that how it is? You know, in the Colburn Bible, you can read several different versions of creation. And in one of those versions, basically the gods are saying to humankind, you are as equal to us in every shape, form, and fashion, except you live on the surface. You live in the world of illusion, while we live in the world of truth. And I still say that if that is the case, then it would explain a lot. I think it would explain a whole lot for our species. So, are we going to see something begin to continue advanced? Now, there are many people who lend to the thought that we are in the midst right now of this supposed 7-year period, and that more and more things will be happening. I don't buy that so much. I'll just tell you, I think if you seek for something, you'll find it. And I studied that mind coitus a lot. And now, I am not saying that our species has the ability to see into the future. I don't think the future is always set. That's the problem when I look at the apocalypse, you know, the book of Revelation, is the fact that it sets in predestination. And if predestination then exists, then why the hell are we here? I mean, it's like the rat said, forget the cheese, just get me out of the trap. I don't buy that. It means then all of us, no matter, there is no more free choice, free will. That's an illusion. Because if you buy into the apocalypse, then what you're saying, then the course of humanity has been preset. And then that, I think, is really messed up. Because it means no matter what we do, we're screwed. There is no free choice. There's no ascension. It's all a bunch of crap. I'm not buying that. So can we think it into existence? Yeah, I think we can do that. I think we all know that. So, yeah. But it goes back to where I started the program at. What's going on in Antarctica? Are we about to see something? Our technology, and I think that becomes the problem. You can't keep the genie in the bottle. You can't. Because it's eventually someone is going to pop the cork. And that's what I meant by more and more privateer companies, like SpaceX, Virgin Space. I mean, all of them, you know. these pioneers. Because as private citizen can begin to put up eyes in the sky, well, that becomes a problem. We can begin to see something. And it could very well be because of our limited ability of seeing that a lot of this is already here anyway. So is this going to force disclosure? Are we seeing the planet tilting? It's going to cause problems at the south end of the world. Is that what we're seeing now? Are these going to begin to accelerate to the point that where we don't even understand the type of changes? And what does that do? And if there is such a thing as the Ark of the Covenant, Ark of Gabriel, whatever it is, are these ancient religious relics really nothing more than technology? Powerful technology to keep a people enslaved. You see, you have to look at weapons as only two things. You're either attacking or you're defending. Now, if you're attacking, that sucks, particularly if you're on the receiving end. If you're defending and you got to use that to defend yourself, holy crap. What are we going up against? Bet you didn't think about in that terms, did you? Well, anyway, let me just stop in and say I've kept you good people for almost an hour. Well, I like the idea. I don't buy into reincarnation against our will either. I'm just stopping in and reading, folks. Y'all pretty smart. Oh, well, I hope it's been fun. I told you it would be. You know, when I see, by the way, thank you for all of you for stopping in. It's always a pleasure and an honor to have you here. And thank you for the articles y'all send me. I mean, it's all tying together. And when I see some of the resources that you all email me, it just absolutely validates for me that we're seeing this. Wow. I mean, all I can say, and the youth, the youngness of the awareness is what's really exciting. I mean, where I'm seeing some of these 20s and 30s, I really like where their head's at. And they are really bringing it up to the next level. And I think that that's what we need. We need that challenge. So keep the articles coming. I try to get to every one of them. There's more material coming. Folks, this is what brings us all together. We're going to figure this thing out. And I think that that's what's forcing other issues. I mean, they're trying to come in and really mind coitus us all. And for the longest part, they've done a good job. But we're realizing that we don't need the artificial stimulation. We can do it naturally. There's actually some songs that way. Oh, well, like I said, I do appreciate it all tonight. And thank you. And tomorrow night, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. I think this is going to help us once again do another dot, because I thought about this today. We don't have to let chaos rule us. Chaos is nothing more than, and this is how I see it, a combination of both positive and negative. and it's swirling. It's difficult to stabilize. It's difficult to basically condense. But I do believe we can have the ability to look at chaos and say, okay, there goes a positive. I'm going to pull that out. Now, when we can start doing that, we can start weakening it. Because once we begin to see that which we want or need and reject the rest of it, although it's there, I mean, we're not denying that. It's just that it doesn't have to be confusion. It doesn't have to be total chaos. Because if out of chaos comes order, then all I see chaos as is unlimited defined potential. And with that, we can change the course of humanity. Chaos then becomes subservient to us. I mean, isn't that what it says? No? Out of chaos came order. I can dig that. Fine. So then that tells me order is obtainable. All right. If it's attainable, then we can have it. So we're going to do it. And I think that's all the process of everyone really coming aware. So having said that, I just want to say again, thank you for everyone coming in, and we'll see you tomorrow night. This is going to be fun, and keep yourself safe. Just think, we're only 31 days away from 2018. All right, folks. Thank you all. Good night. I'll see you tomorrow night. Please stop in. All right. Bye-bye.